Kashmir has been the cradle of Sufism in South Asia. Located about 28 kilometers from Srinagar at Chirare-Sharif, this is the tomb of Sheikh Nuruddin Nurani, also known as the Nund Rishi. He was among the founders of the Rishi order, a Sufi tradition of the region. Sufis are divided into different orders of mystical brotherhood. In Kashmir, the major orders are the Rishis, the Naqshbandi, the Qadris, the Suhrawardi and the Kubrawi, and all except for the Rishis are believed to have their origins in Iran and Central Asia. Hazrat Bulbul Shah, one of the earliest known Sufis in Kashmir, is said to have arrived from Turkestan in the 13th century. For the last 700 years, Sufism has been guiding the life of Kashmiris, so much so that the people of Kashmir refer to their land as Pirvair or Rishivair, meaning the Valley of Saints. Nund Rishi's verses are known as shruks in Kashmiri, from the Sanskrit word shlokas. His work was greatly influenced by Lal Ded, a revolutionary woman mystic of the 14th century. She is today celebrated as a literary great who defined the modern-day Kashmiri language. She used the language to spread the message of unity through her sayings better known as lalba. Sufis have made their mark in history for serving humanity and advocating the peaceful coexistence of all faiths. Perhaps the world needs to promote Sufism in order to defeat terrorism. Cradled in the lap of the majestic Himalayan mountains, the Kashmir Valley is famous for this magical fabric, pashmina. Kashmiri weavers or pashmina designers have been mapping Kashmir on the fashion globe for centuries now. All thanks to Mother Nature's gift to the people of the valley, pashmina. Fine hand-woven pashmina shawls or kashmirs as they are known are prized for their beauty and quality. Derived from the Persian word pashmine, which means wool, the pashmina comes from the silky fleece of changra goats, which live at altitudes of 4,000 to 5,000 meters in the remote Changthang area of Ladakh. One goat can produce a scant 80 to 100 grams of wool fiber, with the finest pashminas requiring the annual growth of 3 goats to weave one shawl. But when did the pashmina start gaining popularity? According to some historians, the 15th century ruler of Kashmir, Zain-ul-Abidin, was the founder of pashmina weaving. He is said to have brought pashmina weavers from Central Asia and settled them in Kashmir. However, some others claim that pashmina was introduced in the 14th century by Mir Sayyid Ali Hamdani. When Mir Ali Hamdani came to Ladakh, he found that the Ladakhi goats produced soft wool. He took some wool and made socks, and is said to have gifted them to the then ruler of Kashmir, Sultan Qatabdin. Mughal Emperor Akbar, who conquered Kashmir in 1568, also took great interest both in the design and production of Kashmiri shawls. The paisley design we see today emerged as a part of design inspiration of shawl makers in the 17th century. But the fabric truly went global in 1796 when Abdullah Khan, the Afghan governor of Kashmir, gave an exquisite pashmina shawl to Sayyid Yaha, a guest from Baghdad, who in turn presented it to the Khedive of Egypt. So impressed was the Khedive with this exotic work of art that he gave it to Napoleon Bonaparte, who presented it to the future Empress Josephine. From that time on, pashmina enraptured Westerners, with European royalty and wealthy women including these shawls as an essential part of their wardrobes. The Europeans even named the pashmina after the land it came from, the Kashmir. And since then, there was no looking back for the weavers. Angelina Jolie, Rachel Weisz, Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton have all been spotted wearing resplendent pashmina at some time or the other. A fully hand-spun fabric. All phases of pashmina production, from dehairing, sorting, spinning, weaving, dyeing and embroidery, are still done by hand, limiting the supply of these colorful shawls and making it a luxury for many. A real pashmina may range from $300 to $1,000, depending on the quality of the fabric and embroidery. The cost of the fabric has spurred the supply of fake pashminas. What goes into making these devalued impure variants starts right from the raw wool that goes into it. Mill owners have overtaken the artistry of craftsmen to make machine-made lookalikes of pashmina shawls. What's more, these replicas can look exactly like the real pashmina and cost as less as $100 per piece. But the legacy and allure of genuine pashmina continues, cherished the world over as an investment, tradition, and even an art form. Firni, the classic creamy Indian pudding, would not be the same without it. It's an unexpected ingredient in the quintessential biryani, and it takes the aromatic quotient of kahwa, a traditional Kashmiri tea, to yet another level. This spice has been known to be a part of Kashmir's cuisine since ages. We are sure you've guessed it already. We are talking about saffron. Ever since saffron was discovered, it has been put to use. Apart from its use as a spice or condiment, it has traditionally been used for dyeing materials. It's also believed to have medicinal properties, and some claim it is aphrodisiac. The spice originates from a flower called Crocus sativus, commonly known as the saffron crocus. The word saffron is derived from the Arabic word saffron, that means yellow. Let's see how it is produced. The process is painstaking. The stigmas must be handpicked, cut from the white style, and then vigilantly laid on a sieve and cured over heat to deepen the flavor. The process is labor-intensive, and this explains why saffron is the most expensive spice in the world. More than 75,000 crocus flowers are needed to produce 1 pound of saffron. Saffron is believed to have been originated and was first cultivated in Greece. Today, Iran produces 95% of the world's saffron. Other producers include India, Spain, Greece, Azerbaijan, Morocco, and Italy. Kashmir is the only saffron producing center in India, and most of Kashmir's saffron is grown in the town of Pampore. It is the only spice in the world grown at an altitude of 1600 meters. The strands of Kashmiri saffron are thicker and more fragrant than its counterpart from Iran. This is the small town of Pampore, where thousands of hectares of land is being used for saffron cultivation. It's a 30-minute drive from Kashmir's summer capital, Srinagar. A spice park is being constructed here, and it is due for inauguration in Measures to promote local saffron are critical for the economy of the state. Agriculture and allied activities are the main occupation of around 80% of its population, and over 16,000 families are engaged in saffron cultivation. Currently, 2.35% of Kashmiri saffron produced annually is exported. The Jammu and Kashmir Saffron Act 2007 provides a framework for regulating the quality of saffron and to ensure its genuineness for the sale and export. Kashmiri saffron has also finally received the long-awaited geographical indication or GI tag, a step that will definitely boost its export prospects. Evolved through many generations, the Kashmiri cuisine is steeped in history. The history of modern Kashmiri cuisine can be traced back to the 15th century invasion of India by Timur, when hundreds of cooks traveled from Samarkand to the valley. The descendants of these cooks, the Wazas, are now regarded as the master chefs of Kashmiri cuisine. It's a blend of three different cooking styles, that of Kashmiri Pandits, Muslims and Mughals. The Nilmata Purana, an ancient text from Kashmir, mentions that Kashmiris were heavy meat eaters, a habit that persists. Wazwan, the ultimate ceremonial feast in Kashmir, is an inseparable part of Kashmiri culture. The grand feast is characterized by 36 different dishes, out of which about 15 to 30 dishes are meat-based. The 7 most important items in Wazwan include tabak maz or kabarga, both are Kashmiri-style ribs; rista, a type of meatballs; dhaniwal korma or tender mutton; rogan josh, a curried meat dish; gushtaba, tender meatballs cooked in flavorful yogurt gravy; marchwangan korma, a mutton preparation with fiery red Kashmiri chilies; aab gosht, or a milk-based meat curry. Wazwan has made its way not only to the leading hotels and restaurants in India, but also to different international Kashmiri food festivals on occasions. Another integral part of Kashmir's culinary identity is bread. The wood-fired tandoor is lit up at dawn. It's a tradition largely untouched by modernity. Soon, residents show up for their daily supply at kandoors or the local bakeries. They churn out about 14 varieties of daily bread. There are breakfast breads, all-day breads, sweet breads, and kulchas. Many of these go well with salty pink tea called noon chai, made with a special type of tea grown in Kashmir. But the most famous tea of the region has to be the kahwa. Kahwa is an exotic mix of Kashmiri green tea leaves, whole spices, nuts and saffron, which was traditionally prepared in a brass kettle known as samovar. Different households prepare this tea differently, and there is no fixed recipe. Kashmiri food is intricately intertwined with its culture, and it's fascinating to see how, despite new and hip eateries and bakeries opening up, traditional food habits are not being forgotten. The Kashmir stag or hangul, the markhor, the snow leopard, the Himalayan serau, a goat antelope. These are some of the prominent animals found in the region. Jammu and Kashmir is home to some exquisite wildlife, many of them listed as endangered. The state has several wildlife sanctuaries. Located 48 kilometers away from Srinagar lies the Gulmarg Biosphere Reserve. The presence of musk deer, a highly endangered species, is the main attraction here. Other animals that can be easily sighted include the brown bear, black bear, red fox, and leopard, among others. Another famous sanctuary is the Hirpora Wildlife Sanctuary in the Shopian district of the state. It's home to many animals and birds, including the Tibetan wolf, the Himalayan woodpecker, the ruddy shelduck or the Brahmini duck, and the Kashmir flycatcher are some of the birds that can be spotted here. The Lachipora Wildlife Sanctuary is located at the northern banks of the Jhelum River. This sanctuary had been developed in order to safeguard Markhor, a species of wild goat. Apart from the Jhelum, other important rivers flowing through the region are the Indus, the Tavi, Ravi and Chenab. The unparalleled beauty of the valley has been captured in many films. Kashmir in Bollywood and Bollywood in Kashmir. In the 1960s, Bollywood romance found the perfect backdrop in the picturesque Kashmir. Movies like Jungli and Kashmir Ki Kali popularized the fabled houseboats and shikara. And within years, Kashmir emerged as Bollywood's most favorite shooting destination. But due to the political turmoil in the 1980s and 1990s, filmmakers were forced to head to states like Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand whenever they needed the mystique of the mountains. Cut to the present times, directors are trying their best to rekindle their lost love with Kashmir on camera.
कई कश्मीरी पंडितों के घरों को आग लगा दी.
Acclaimed films like Shikara and Razi have been filmed in Kashmir. Many others like Saat Khoon Maaf, Highway and Ye Jawani Hai Diwani have also largely been shot in the valley. Bollywood movies, particularly those shot in the 60s, also brought into vogue Kashmiri fashion. Interestingly, Kashmiri outfits for women, be it Muslim or Kashmiri Pandit, are almost the same. The only difference is the way in which jewelry is worn. Their salwar kameez is accompanied by the ubiquitous firan. There are many stories surrounding the origin of this garment. A popular theory is that Mughal Emperor Akbar introduced the long garment in the Kashmir Valley. Some others believe the firan came from Persian travelers who invented it to protect themselves from the freezing cold. Made of 7 rectangular pieces of cloth stitched together to form a robe, its shapelessness allowed people to carry a kangri, an earthen pot filled with burning coals carried inside the firan to keep warm in the biting cold of winter months. The unisex garment has long been part of Kashmir's traditional wear and is associated with the Kashmiri identity. If there is a paradise on earth, it is this, it is this, it is this. Amir Khosrow, a great Sufi musician and poet, used these words to famously describe the beauty of the valley. It's a sentiment echoed by most who visit Kashmir.